So 2022 has been quite a busy year for me if you can't tell by my admittedly sporadic upload schedule. The upside to that is, well, with devices like the Nintendo Switch and Steam Deck being portable, I've been able to keep up to date with a lot of 2022 releases. And despite this last year's faults, there were a lot of good games released. So while a bit cliche, the first video of 2023 is going to be, well, games I enjoyed that released in 2022. I kind of want to do it as a breather after that long Sonic video, so give me this one, everyone. I will give a heads up and say that, well, this is a list of games that I personally enjoyed, which might be the most apparent since there's the glaring omission to most people of no Elden Ring in this list, because I haven't been able to play it. Additionally, I'm not going to put fan games or early access games on this list. However, I will put games that have come out of early access in 2022 on this list. A game that I played a lot at the beginning of 2022, Infernax was a bloody brilliant way to start it, and yes, that pun is intended because I'm not a coward. And while I'm a bit miffed that my voiceover files for the video I had been working on for this were lost within the hard drive transfer, I get to talk about how much I enjoy this game now, so all's good. Now, Infernax is a hyper-violent Metroidvania, but think less Symphony of the Night and think more Simon's Quest. It is also a remake of one of the studio's old Flash games, and some of the secrets you unlock will show you comparison bits between the Flash game and the final game. Which, yeah, there's multiple routes and secrets as well. The other thing to know, and if you haven't noticed it by now, is the sheer comical level of gore in the game. Just all the blood and guts everywhere. The thing I want to emphasize is that it makes defeating bosses so satisfying to just see them erupt. Yeah, I might go back to this one, but it's just that fun. Nightmare Reaper is a roguelike throwback FPS. Rather roguelite, I know there's a distinction. This game was initially in early access, but came out of it come 2022, so it counts. And as with a lot of things that are roguelike or roguelite, a lot of the fun comes from just how absurd the stat rules can get on some of these weapons. And while I couldn't trigger any of the fun events while recording like the barrels, by the same token there's still a lot of meat to this game. You can pick a weapon to carry between stages as well as just 3 fully fleshed out minigames that you can upgrade yourself with. There is a story here, but come on, most of the meat is within the gunplay as well as the RNG. It's a roguelike. I will note that sometimes its level generation style does lead to a little bit of jank, but that's pretty much the only warning I'd have to offer on this one.
Serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. Man, how did a Postal game wind up slapping so hard this year? Unlike its janky and, depending on who you ask, tasteless imps and brethren, Postal Brain Damaged is a really good throwback shooter, made with such care that I'm quite surprised that it even exists. Smooth as butter, good weapons, some inventive boss fights, it's just all around a great game. And it uses its dream scenario situation in order to just make absolutely bonkers set pieces and everything. It's dumb and juvenile, but it has really great action. Really, there's not much to say that wouldn't be going too deep into the game, except if you have to go with the Postal game and you don't want to feel too icky, just grab this one. Freedom Planet 2 is a decently enjoyable little Sonic-like, and for what it's worth, it does give you a lot of pretty decently long stages to go through as well. The music is, at the least in my opinion, a bit weaker than the first game's, hence why I'm using the first game's soundtrack to supplant it. But it's a game of running, jumping, gaining momentum, using short little boosts, and occasionally whacking something with a couple of melee hits. But, and I know I've been keeping these short, mainly to avoid spoiling them, what convinced me to put this in here was the quite frankly amazing tonal whiplash. It goes from something on the level of a Saturday morning cartoon and then just goes places like halfway through. I don't think I've seen that level of tonal whiplash in just any game ever. So, Auto Mutationum is on here for a little bit of a different reason than a lot of the others on this list. As a game, it's absolutely fine, and it's got one of the best art styles I've seen in the game. Plus, I found out about it because the group that did the music has done the music for something else I play. The reason that it's on this list is the drive of the developer to basically polish the game and fix a few things within the story to the fanbase's liking, basically. A developer that sticks with their game past release and keeps trying to make it better is A-okay in my book, and I think that's something that should be, talked about more. The only thing I do have to do is do the very lightest of spoilers. If you're going into this expecting or desiring a purely cyberpunk game, you're not going to get it, period. I do say, though, that this game has enough merits worth trying, especially with the tweaks to it. I finally get to talk about Fashion Police Squad. A throwback shooter that is on the lighter end of challenging, yet if you're trying to tackle a game like Doom Eternal, I would strongly recommend. It is a very silly game that just basks in its absurdity. And being able to have so much fun with itself is probably why I like it as much as I do. Don't be fooled though, the game absolutely does ramp up its difficulty as it goes on, but it's no problem. With how the game eases you into things, you'll be fashionably shooting things down in no time. Come on, of course this was going to be there. The hyper-casual game where you spend 30 minutes trying to become a bullet-spewing menace, improving yourself between games, and then going back for more. The formula that gave rise to many, many imitators. But Vampire Survivors deserves to be on this list. It's feature-filled, and its early access, full release, and DLC was all done in 2022. If you want something to kill time and just watch number go up, then yeah, this is for you. Just be sure you can handle so many things on screen at once if you have sensory issues. For as much dreck as Square Enix does, come on, 2022 and 2023's press statements for the beginning of the year don't exactly inspire confidence. The HD 2D remake of Live Alive, or Live Alive, or however the hell you want to pronounce it, is probably one of my favorite things that they've put out for 2022. It's a game that I absolutely want to come back to, given that, well, it's a very important part of my childhood, the original that is. Since some of my happiest memories while going through some hard times are from playing the original fan-translated Super Famicom version. To keep it blunt and brief so that I don't spoil too much about this, even though I know it's a remake of an older game, the remake meets all of my expectations and then exceeds them. It is that good, and I do hope that it comes to Steam so that it can reach a larger audience on PC. I do know that there is a little bit of a point of contention with the localization and how they changed some lines, but I do think that they were brought more in line with how international perceptions of the specific genres that Live Alive / Live Alive uses. It's just all around a good package. So Sonic Frontiers is one of the best Sonic games that I've played in quite a long time. And I already said that in the really, really long Sonic video that drained me working on it. But I'm going to say that as a game, Sonic Frontiers' highs far outweigh its glaring lows. The overtly barren and large maps are completely offset by just the spectacle of everything it does right. Regardless of the fact that I've talked about it before, it is a game that I enjoyed in 2022, so it goes here. So Drainus is a game that came out of fucking nowhere, but I am glad for its existence. Drainus is an absolutely visually stunning shoot-'em-up that has a lot of resource management stuff. The energy tanks for upgrades, as well as the fact that you have to swap between using the S-bomb and your normal shot, and building charge off of enemy shots. it is so smooth and polished that, you know, no wonder it made it on this list. Come to think of it, maybe I should do more Team Ladybug games someday. Our penultimate game in the main lineup is Est Libra Revision. And this one is in a little bit of weird territory, but its commercial release was in 2022. And the reason why I say commercial release is that this game was initially Japanese-only freeware. But, as a part of this commercial release, it is now available in English. And it still has the charm of just having the look of a game that was made by one man as a passion project for years. But, with the game itself, you get a pretty good action RPG too. It's reminiscent of a lot of Falcom's older side-scrolling action RPGs, so yeah, if you like those, you'll like this. I saved the most complicated one before honorable mentions for last. Pokemon Legends Arceus and Generation 9 of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are two halves of what I would consider the perfect Pokemon game. And both of these titles have severe flaws that are fixed by the other game's strengths. For example, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet give you a giant open world to explore, but no reason to explore it. Legends, on the other hand, occasionally throws you a bone for going out of your way with, say, a rare spawn. Legends introduced an audio cue to let you know that a shiny had spawned near you. Scarlet and Violet omit this, but give you sparkling power post-game, a sandwich effect that allows you to hunt for shinies like crazy. I like both of these games, even if Scarlet and Violet perform inexcusably. And I know that's down to Game Freak not being given time by the Pokemon Company when they clearly need a bit more time to flesh things out and polish things up. And as much fun as I had with it, I know it's nowhere near the best thing that I've put on this list. If you're hesitant on these games, just wait for a used copy to appear. I will say Gen 9's Union Circle is absolutely one of the things that need to be kept, because multiplayer in a Pokemon space is absolutely kind of a great thing. And to end this video off, there's really only one honorable mention, and it's Cultic. The reason it's here is because it's just that good, but how they're handling release is a bit bizarre. They're trying to do DLC to replicate the old shareware model, with what is on Steam right now being the equivalent of Episode 1. So it's complete, but not complete, so yeah, just do with that what you will. But Cultic is basically the type of super awesome FPS game that makes your entire weapons loadout a playground that is very much achieved through a singular vision. It's honestly a blast, and I hope that some other throwback shooters take lessons from how they incorporate stuff like melee or portable medkits and so forth. Otherwise, what you do get with what is basically Episode 1 is pretty substantial, and I'd still recommend it. And that's a little video on the games that I enjoyed in 2022. Now, much like the last second honorable mention of the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, there's probably some games I've forgotten that I've played and really liked. By the same token, I think I have provided a pretty decent list of games. Now, I do have one more fun video that I want to do before I go back to doing the normal schedule of things. But I do once again thank you all for sticking it out with me, and I will again see you next time.